that feeling on a crazy hot day when that first blast of cool air hits you? It feels, it feels like magic, right? But it's not magic at all. It's actually some really cool science, and today we're going to break down exactly how your air conditioner actually works. Yeah, we've all done it. You're kicking back inside, enjoying the nice cool air, and you look out the window and see that big metal box just humming away. But have you ever really thought about what's going on in there? How does that thing make your house so comfortable? All right, so let's get the biggest myth out of the way right now. Your air conditioner doesn't make cold air. That's not what it does. Think of it more like a heat bouncer. Its only job, really, is to grab the heat that's already inside your house and throw it outside. So, to really get how this whole heat moving thing works, we gotta meet the main players in the game. Most of us have what's called a split system. And, the name kind of gives it away. It's split into two main parts. One part lives inside your house, and the other one is outside. So, this is what it looks like. You've got that unit outside, right? That's where the compressor and condenser are. And then inside, a lot of times it's part of your furnace, you've got the indoor unit, and that's home to the evaporator coil. These two parts are connected by some copper tubes, and they use all the ductwork in your house to push that nice, cool air around. Okay, now these two coils, they're the real stars of the show. Seriously, this is where the heat exchange happens. You got the evaporator coil inside, which gets super cold to suck up the heat from your air. And then you have the condenser coil outside, which gets hot so it can release all that heat. Just remember that. One sucks it in, the other pushes it out. Absorb and release. So you might be wondering, how exactly does the heat get from that cold coil inside to the hot coil outside? Well, it's all thanks to this special stuff called refrigerant. Think of it like a little heat taxi, constantly running a four-step route called the vapor compression cycle. And this diagram right here, this is basically our roadmap. It shows the four big stops on the refrigerant's journey: evaporation, compression, condensation, and expansion. This whole cycle is pretty much the engine of your AC, and it just keeps running on a loop until your house hits that perfect temperature you set. All right, let's follow that refrigerant and break down this journey step by step. We're going to start inside your house with evaporation. Then we'll head outside for compression and condensation. And finally, we'll pop back inside for the last step, expansion. Ready? Okay, step one, evaporation. This happens inside. So the warm air from inside your house gets pulled in and blown over that ice-cold evaporator coil. As the super cold liquid refrigerant inside that coil soaks up all that heat, it actually starts to boil and turns into a gas. And boom, just like that, all the uncomfortable heat from your living room is now trapped inside that refrigerant gas. Now for step two, compression. That gas full of heat travels outside to the compressor. Now, the compressor is the muscle of the whole operation. Its job is to squeeze that gas. Really put the pressure on it. This makes the gas super duper hot. We're talking hotter than the air outside, even on a sweltering day. Okay, step three is condensation. We've got all this heat trapped, now we have to get rid of it. So that super hot, high-pressure gas flows into the condenser coil outside. You know that big fan you see spinning in the outdoor unit? That's blowing outside air over the coils. And because the refrigerant is way hotter than the air, the heat just jumps from the coil into the air. As it loses all that heat, the refrigerant cools down and turns back into a liquid. And finally, step four, expansion. We're almost back to where we started. That high-pressure liquid travels all the way back inside and gets forced through a tiny little thing called an expansion valve. This valve is a game changer. It causes the pressure to drop like a rock, which instantly makes the refrigerant intensely cold again. And just like that, it's back to being a cold liquid, totally ready to go back to the evaporator coil and grab some more heat. The cycle just starts all over again. But your AC is doing more than just cooling the air. A huge, huge part of why you feel comfortable has to do with humidity. So let's talk about how your system deals with all that moisture in the air. And this is really the secret sauce. When that warm, sticky, humid air from your house passes over that freezing cold evaporator coil, the water vapor in the air can't stay as a gas anymore. It condenses into liquid water. It's the exact same thing you see on the outside of a cold glass of iced tea on a summer day. So your AC is also a dehumidifier, and that's just as important for making you feel comfortable as dropping the temperature. Think about it. When it's super humid out, your AC has to work way, way harder. It has to spend a ton of its energy just pulling all that moisture out of the air before it can even get to the job of cooling it down. And what does that mean? It means more work for the system, more wear and tear on all the parts, and yeah, you guessed it, higher energy bills.
So now that we've got the science down, let's bring it back to the real world. Because here's the cool part. It doesn't matter what kind of AC you have, a giant central air system or a tiny window unit, they all work on this exact same principle of moving heat.
Seriously, take a look. Whether you're talking about a central air system for the whole house, one of those ductless mini splits you see on the wall, or even a good old-fashioned window unit, they all have the same key parts. They have all got a compressor, a condenser, an expansion valve, and an evaporator. Every single one uses refrigerant to move heat from inside to outside. The only thing that really changes is the size and, how they get the cool air to you. And that kind of brings us full circle. This basic idea we've been talking about, it's been around for more than 100 years. Pretty wild, right? So now that you know how the whole cycle works, how it moves heat and gets rid of humidity, you can really appreciate the clever science that's keeping you cool. And maybe it gets you thinking, is your AC working smart or is it just working hard? Something to chew on.